Welcome to Duckpin TV's coverage of the inaugural Preakness Duckpin Classic. We are at Mount Lanes in Hampstead, Maryland for the finals of the team championship. I am Pat Rufo, and it's been an exciting tournament. We are confident today will continue in today's championship match. Our finalists in the team competition are Team Ayatollah and Team Ball. The match will be taking place on lanes 11 and 12. Joining me today in our broadcast booth will be Joe Rainier, who will be joining us momentarily, and Jim Kaufman. Jim, if you can give us some opening thoughts on today's championship match, that'd be great.
Well, I was following Team Ball as the secondary semifinal match. Joe had alluded to, it's much easier when you're throwing strikes, makes you more comfortable and more confident going forward. And Team Ball took some of his advice. I don't think they heard him, but they took it anyways. And they used two triples and a double, to lead them to victory in their semifinal match.
In the semifinal match featuring Ayatollah and Anastasi, very similar situation. Anastasi's team given a lot of pins, really put the hammer down early. Ayatollah's team withstood that challenge, and then in the final box, two doubles to stun them, really. It was a stunning finish. So the strikes came into play in a big way, and we'll see if today's match is anything similar. Before we begin our coverage, we want to take this opportunity to thank our sponsors. Without their generous support, events like the Preakness Duckpin Classic would not be possible. Our bowlers are very grateful for everything they do to help promote the sport of duckpin bowling. And now, ladies and gentlemen, once again, it is post time. We are now joined by Joe Rainier. He's joining Jim and myself to bring you the coverage of the final event.
I overheard something very interesting in between these games, and the Ayatollah team actually beat the Anastasia team 2 out of the 3 times that they bowled them, including this semifinal match.
Well, the first ball of the finals is a strike. And that is from, I believe, Patrick Sortino.
So the Ayatollah team might have had Team Anastasia's number. Now they need to deal with Team Ball. They'll be getting 48 pins handicap. What I found interesting is that even though they gave up most of their handicap pretty early in the match in the semifinals, they still hung in there against the higher average team and pulled out the victory.
That happened in both semifinal matches. And it was, as we talked about earlier, that it was the strikes that caused that.
Yeah, definitely Team Ball. They had a triple halfway through the match and another triple late in the match.
That's big.
That made the difference.
We had an interesting fact in the semifinal match with Ayatollah and Anastasia. Ayatollah threw more strikes and actually made a higher percentage of one-pinners
than the significantly higher average opponent. It's a tough combination to overcome, handicap, and when they're out bowling you anyways.
Again, the head game comes into effect.
So on lane 11, Stephen Hoover had cleaned up his 10 box, and Tony Ayatollah, who came into this finals off of a monstrous 10 box in the semifinals, starts it the same way. Another one, kicks the 10.
We're in a split house here where it's half duckpin, half 10-pin. It almost looked like a 10-pin strike where he got the 10-pin tapped out of the pin out of the gutter.
Our first look now at Will Cook. He's in the blue T-shirt over on lane 11. Of course, Bob Niedzwiecki is also wearing a blue T-shirt on lane 12. Found out in between matches that Bob and Regina Grieco are brother and sister, so... And I did get the name right. It is Niedzwiecki. So.
Did you notice I didn't try to say that?
You're a smarter man than I.
You can stick with the Stevens and the Hoovers and the Balls. Yeah.
I did openly admit to him. I called him Bob for a while. So Niedzwiecki off the side for 4 on his first ball. Jeff Francis is going to be stepping up on lane 11. going to say it right away, Joe. These are two relatively lower average teams, if you will. The nerves are already abundantly obvious, the first balls.
But if you notice, the averages are very steady.
Yes. Well, you've got a low average of 124, a low average of 117, a high average of 31 and 39. So it's a 48 pin differential, but any given day, this could be a very evenly contested match.
I got to be careful not to be partial because 3 of the bowlers on the ball team actually either have or still are. Stephen Hoover and Will Cook bowl a lot of games at Mount Airy.
There you go. And also following from his finish in the semifinals is George Kahn, who came out of nowhere in the end of that game. He was struggling mightily and just lit them up in the end.
And he threw the double also.
He absolutely did. You know, he had that conversation with himself when he threw that ball off the side. He must have had it must have been a good meeting.
He was listening. What did he say? I said to myself,
Yeah.
self,
don't do that again.
So Team Ayatollah has come out with 2 opens and 2 strikes. Unfortunately, the 2 opens are a 7-box and a 5-box, which means they've given up 8 pins of their handicap just in those two boxes.
You can tell that the 3 of us talking about the bowling are old timers because we're talking about gutters and boxes instead of channels and frames.
I get so confused. We now have candlepin bowlers that bowl with us in some leagues and tournaments up in Connecticut, and they call games strings. So I have a hard time when I'm talking to them. I want to say strings, but it comes out game. So I think we all know what each other's talking about, though. It's a different dialect. They're different accents, but it's the same language.
You go to Canada, and they probably call it something different.
So Rob Stevens finishes up his first box.
So Team Ayatollah outmarked them 2-1, but they left 8 pins on the plate where Team Ball only left 1. So that basically offsets the difference in marks.
Patrick Sortino with a double, and we heard a lot about doubles and triples in their last match.
There's the first spare of the match.
And Regina matches the mark anyways, not the double, but she stays with the mark. Now we have Stephen Hoover.
Question that's been on my mind, Regina wears a wrist brace. I don't know if it's because of injury or just for wrist control, but that's something they used to see a lot more of 20, 30 years ago. You don't hardly see it anymore now in duckpin. Even in 10-pin, you don't see those big wrist braces. Any reason why?
My thought would be that today's game has changed and the pin action matters a lot. Early on, we used to, the wrist was pretty firm.
Nice conversion from Stephen Hoover.
Now, the fingers and the wrist, like throwing a baseball, have a lot to do with the pin action.
Where you're snapping, you need to snap your wrist, you need to bend your wrist, but at the right time in order to create that torque and the revolutions on the ball, the drive on the ball.
Well, if you relate it to the 10-pin game, you don't see the equipment on the 10-pin bowlers like you used to, where they lock that wrist with that glove type of thing, because they're getting more wrist and fingers into it. And that's why a 10-pin game has obviously some more injuries with wrists and stuff with these crankers, as they call them.
So Stephen Hoover converted a nice spare there in the second. Tony Ayatollah missing a single pin in his second frame. Right now we see Will Cook trying to make and converting the 7-pin for a spare. Bob Nizwicki up on lane 11 now.
He must have the 10. No?
No. He must have thought it was worse than it was. It looked like a good hit.
We're down to the nitty-gritty here with, the final game, and I think you're really looking for strikes.
Yeah, well, the way these teams have been performing, that's what they've been doing.
Well,
Another missed single.
This is either the 13th or 14th game. I think this might be the 14th game for Ayatollah because they were in a roll-off. So, yeah, fatigue might be a factor. So the less balls you have to throw, the less pain you're going to feel tomorrow morning.
Well, in the final game, there's also the mental fatigue.
Right. It's a lot of games just within a less than 48-hour period. So
Jeff Francis here trying to clean up for at least a 9 box. It does go off the head pin through the middle for 7. So tough box for Jeff. We've got now George Kahn the 4th over on lane 11. A little baby split, and not what he wanted to happen there.
Both teams have 2 spares and a strike. The difference being that the 2 strikes on the
Ball side
or a double.
Yep. Saw that in the quarterfinals where one team was outstruck, but 4-bagger adds up a lot more than just 4 strikes individually.
I might mention Eric Ball actually bowled in the youth league at Mount Airy Lanes.
Got a little delay here with I don't know if George hit the wrong button or the machine just reset, but he needs the 3-8 put up there. He's got a middle mini split to shoot at.
Yeah, he hit the wrong button.
We are a little bit spoiled in some cases up north. The only time we have to hit any buttons is to clear Deadwood, and I guess you guys are in the same boat. So there are many houses that don't have automatic scoring, and you bowl with bowlers who are from automatic scoring houses, and they never hit the button.
Well, and the thing here with this is not, it's automatic scoring. I call it a calculator with a screen because it in no way is hooked to the
Understood. So we up in a few of the houses up north, you don't have to hit any buttons unless there's Deadwood. So you get people who get accustomed to never hitting the button.
You're in a 10-pin situation where they just bowl and walk back.
Yeah. You find some houses actually putting up signs, hit the button.
Usually the next bowler turns around and says, you didn't hit the button again.
So George Kahn missed his mini split. Rob Stevens continues to have a little bit of a struggle here. His team didn't need him so much in the last game, but I would imagine they're going to count on him a little bit this match to help pick up the slack.
Tough frame.
Yeah, it's another 3 pins left on the deck for the Ayatollah team, and those are definitely adding up. And Regina with the little extra kick.
She got a lot of snap on that ball.
Yeah, even with the brace on.
If you watch, you can see the amount of snap. She has the colored balls with the stripes, and you can actually see them going down the lane. And
Sortino on a double.
You can't count them, but there's quite a few revs on that ball when she gets it out of her hand.
And oh my goodness, Patrick Sortino almost had the 6-7 go down last. He does load the double with a 9. Regina with another mark. Big shot.
Patrick ended their semifinal match with a double. Only filled it with 2, though. 2 load and then in the hole. So already a better fill than this last double. But unable to convert the single.
He slides by on the left side of the 7-pin. Tony Ayatollah stepping up. When he throws a good ball, you know it. You don't have to look because his body reaction is clearly tells you what happened.
He takes a pretty hard swing at the pins to get that action.
Sure does. Yep. See the lean? I didn't have to watch. I saw the lean.
Yeah, you'd prefer to make that shooting into the 1-3, but even going into the left side, you still expect a fair amount of time to cover, and he left the 7-9 clean.
With absolutely no pin action. They just jumped in the pit.
Right. Nothing on his last ball, so an 8-box for Tony Ayatollah. Same with Steve Hoover. No, actually, he gained 1 pin. He ended up on a 9-box. Action's quieted down here. I don't know if the delay to reset the shot for George might have led to that, but we've had just one spare in the last, I don't know, 10 minutes, it feels like.
The closer we get to the end of the game, the more the nerves and the pressure takes over.
Bob Niedzwiecki, difficult 7-pin conversion.
Bob actually kick-started him in the semifinal game to bring him out on top. So that was a big pickup there.
And Will answered him with a spare of his own. So we just had to complain about it a little bit, and the marks are coming again. I'm really fascinated, George, with the strike there with his T-shirt. He's got a T-shirt with a rope around his neck leading to a mason jar with a goldfish in water in the mason jar. I have no idea what that's all about.
We'll have to check on the significance.
I'm going to have to ask.
I tell you what, George, if you watch, he gets a lot of turns on that ball. It's not always right on the hit pin, but when he is, his percentage of strikes is way up there.
George, 119 average.
I got a feeling that these 110 average bowlers bowl a little better than 110s in tournaments.
Yeah, maybe a situation where maybe they don't bowl frequently anymore. And now that they have a dozen games under their belt over the course of a weekend, they're more they're sharper now at least. I know that happens a lot with our North-South Challenge matches where we have bowlers who haven't bowled in a number of years coming in taking a lower average as a result, and then finding that form at some point throughout the weekend and averaging well over what they're taking for an entrance average and helping the team as a result.
Well, and they're experienced bowlers, and they're in a more competitive environment, which you pay a little more attention.
Right.
We just missed Bob Spare. He actually had the 1-4, I believe, and hit the inside of the 4 and made it.
Oh, I'll take it.
So
I always say that makes up for those 7/8s and 9/10s that you leave on crushes, but
exactly
they don't even out to the dead even. But
I'm not too sure the other team thinks that way.
Exactly. Especially in the finals, really? Are you going to make it like that?
You're going to take that?
Yeah.
Yes.
I'm absolutely going to take it. I'm not going to step on that foul line for you, that's for sure.
Wow. What
a
try.
Fine effort by Pat. Regina off the side, but manages to fill her spare with 6.
So I don't know, gentlemen, about your feelings right now. Is this the calm before the storm? It seems like
I think so.
A little lull in the action, just not really. A little ebb and flow needs to start here.
I think pressure overtakes the excitement. And it causes a certain amount of tenseness.
Yeah.
Also might depend on the bowler. Maybe the lower average bowler where the tension, the nerves kind of take over, as opposed to the higher average bowler where this is what they thrive on.
Well, and it's pretty obvious the highest average bowlers also are more experienced at this
Goes hand in hand.
Yeah, Stephen Hoover there getting a very fortuitous bounce, and the pin, this 4-pin, late going down. But when they all fall down, you're all happy, right?
It's a strike.
It sure was. Ayatollah's going to go another one. They saw him lean there at the approach. He's the 1-2-8.
You see how solid he was at the line that
There was
time?
no lean
Nothing
that
was,
time. No,
the head still.
straight through.
This game, people don't realize how much it can be like golf. If your head stays still, the rest of your body will too.
There you go. And you see Will Cook clearing the deck. That's a solid strike. That's
Yeah, he's spare strike these last 3 frames.
back-to-back strikes for the ball team. Here's Niedzwiecki trying to load. And fine in the middle. Oh, man. Rips for 4.
Yeah, on a count also, which hurts.
See Jeff Francis leaving 3-pin spare.
He happens to be the highest average of the 2 teams.
Yeah, with a 139. All day right there, all day. So Bob Niedzwiecki, another difficult box. He's had a 5 box, a 7 box, a 4 load. He was the catalyst, not the anchor, but he was the catalyst last round for this team. And I think for them to continue moving forward in this championship match, he needs to regain that swagger that he had.
Bob did
Many
start
points
the
in-
comeback,
Yep,
no
yep.
doubt.
So Eric Ball right there converting. Oh, I'm sorry, that was Eric Ball, single. Here's George Kahn, the 4th, looking to throw yet another double. I believe he's had 2 today already. And off the side, he leaves. Oh, he hit the wrong button again.
It's pretty easy to do with the setup.
Oh, is it?
Yeah, there's 2 buttons. No, they're far apart, but it's. I think the excitement causes some of it.
Yeah,
You know,
little nervous.
or the house that you bowl in. The
Right,
first button that you
right.
come to on the way back is actually the deadwood button. The last button's a reset.
Got it.
Most or some houses only have the 1 button. They
Correct.
still have the treadle.
Yeah, the ones I'm familiar with, either a pedal or the button is up right by the ball where the ball comes out.
We actually
So-
did that with the deadwood buttons to speed the game up. So when they turned around, they could come back and hit it on the way back.
Yep,
And we still watch people come all the way back and then turn around and go back up.
there you go. In most of the houses that I'm familiar with that still don't have automatic sweep, it's a foot pedal for the deadwood and then a button for the clear. So you can see there could be some confusion.
The Baltimore area, I may be one of the only houses at Mount Airy that still has the treadle.
So George Kahn freezes himself by hitting the wrong button. Doesn't even phase him. He just goes up and makes the spare.
Gave him a break.
Yeah, he needed a little breath. He said he's getting tired. He needed a little rest. So he's giving himself little timeouts every once in a while.
You know, and most people, that gives them time to think, which is not a good thing.
Usually not. There's Rob Stevens with a real nice-looking first ball right there. Leaving the 4-7. He's a little confidence booster here. And he's going to get that by hitting both pins with the ball. That's a good way to make a two-pinner.
It's hard to miss when you put both pins,
You know,
ball on both pins.
when you hit the pin with a ball twice, it goes down. That's a pretty heavy
most
ball.
Most of the time it will
yeah.
fall. They will fall.
Very rarely do you see a ball hit a pin. And
That's why I
pin
don't get
stays
mad
there.
if I hit a multi-pin spare on the outside and I don't carry it. I don't get upset because I know I didn't hit the right side of the pin to begin with. I try not to get mad at least.
You're upset at, yep, exactly. I spend a lot of time giving lessons or tips, and I tell people, when you shoot a one-pinner, obviously you're shooting at the pin. When you're shooting at a two or three-pinner, the bowler has a tendency to shoot the pocket. And if they've left like the 1-3-6 or the 1-2-4, they've just shrunk their target from throwing the first ball at the head pin, not caring what side they hit, to shooting half of it. And that really doesn't make sense.
Yeah, common sense would say if you shoot at the middle of the pin, the odds are you're not going to hit the middle of the pin.
Exactly. And, and I tell people I'm a little better than you because my target's bigger.
So we saw Regina just miss the two-pin for a spare, and she goes by it for a 9-box.
I never thought of it like that, Joe. I'm going to try that next time because I focus on the inside always when I have a multi-pin or some pocket.
Well, I tell you what will prove my point. You watch the 110 average bowlers, and when they shoot a two-pinner, you watch how many times, or two or three-pinner, watch how many times they hit the back pin. It's
they
amazing.
Were shooting that side.
And if they do the same thing, the same approach, shooting the middle of the front pin, they make the shot.
Exactly, exactly. And that's what I'm talking about, enlarging your target.
Correct. Do you find it's an easier game when you're talking about it back here than when you're out there doing it?
No doubt, because back here I can apply it. Up there you get scatterbrain. It's just, I could take 130 average bowler, maybe even 120, against 140 and tell the 140 average bowler that he has to hit a certain pocket. And think about who's going to win that game.
There you see Stephen Hoover and Tony Ayatollah follow, both off to the left side. Stephen a little bit further left. He just sends a pin into the lane 10 channel. See, I said channel for you.
You're doing better. I'll probably say gutter. You see the relaxing. You threw two balls that he had a problem with.
Yep.
You relax on the third ball. It's amazing.
So both of them with 10 boxes in their fifth frame. 10 box, fifth frame. So how do I do that, right?
Well, pins are still pins, though, no matter where you live, right?
But do you call it a 10-box, Jim? Now you got me confused.
Many of us say, it seems like today the best ball I'm throwing is my third one, and there's a reason for that. The little guy goes to sleep after two balls.
Well, isn't it amazing how many times you miss a single and the next you step up on, you can't miss the third ball. You can't even try. It's like the ball goes to it.
Unless you're that bowler that throws it away,
Yeah.
But I hope we aren't.
Yeah.
No, it's the truth. You relax. That's the only difference, and you don't take the time for the little guy to talk to you.
Yeah.
I think I have a big guy between my ears. He seems to dominate the thought process.
He can be your best friend or your worst enemy.
True.
I forget who was explaining to me that you got the width of the ball is 5 inches, and the width of the pin is what's the
like 4 1/4.
So you got almost 10 inches that you're shooting at. Really, if you think you've got a 10-inch target.
Yeah.
Well, you can double it. Yeah, both sides. Both sides.
10.
Yeah. You think you can hit within 15 inches of a target? You should be able to.
Unless
right?
I need to.
Unless it matters, right? So we've got George Kahn now up, and we have a once again, fellas, it's a 1-pin differential. We are not quite halfway through the match, so the underdog has lost their handicap. The last time this happened, they hung around, right? They stuck it out for 2 or 3 boxes and treaded water, and then they put the hammer down in the 10th frame. So we'll see.
There's a case where
Well, there goes that lead. What little lead they might have had, it's gone after that strike, Phil.
the difference, you're going to find out at the end of the game, the difference is probably going to be strikes, the counts on spares, and wood drop.
Yeah. Just in this 5th frame, Team Ayatollah has two loads on their spares, where Team Ball has a 6, an 8, and a 10, and now another 8. Or actually a 7. I'm sorry, I can't see that. Looks like it might be the 10 pin to go along with the 2-8 for.
So we have
Eric Ball.
Eric Ball right now trying to clean up a big mess. And that slides between all of them. I think he's got 3 pins left on the deck. Get the 2-8, 2-6-8. Clips out the 2, so that's an 8 box. Right now we got about a 15-pin game.
A similar situation in the semifinal match where he had missed a head pin for a spare. 1 for 2, at least. Guess all that matters is the last one you shot.
The difference in the game right now actually comes down to the 3rd ball because the
We got about a 6-pin differential, even hits. So
the Ayatollah team has dropped 15 pins, and the Ball team has dropped like 6.
Right.
So
yes,
we roll 3 balls in this game for a reason.
this Patrick Sortino. It wasn't a pocket hit. I'm not gonna, but that's a very difficult break, as we've talked about several times during the course of this event.
I saw this break made more times this weekend, which was twice,
Yeah, in
than
the
I'll
span
see
of
in the
5
next
minutes.
month.
I know. Just been informed by our executive producer that our arrow pointing to the team that was ahead was just pointing the wrong way. We were giving the right information on air, but on the screen the arrow was not correct. We've fixed that problem so you can keep track without having to worry about whether we're seeing it correctly or not, right, Joe?
Yeah, we have Pat. Yeah, the arrow's pointing to the right, and Pat Bolt on the right.
Yeah,
We're okay.
we're okay. We're okay.
2 more pins.
So just an
on it.
update on
Right.
you guys talking about pins left standing. 24-9 differential with the pins left standing right
So
now.
a third of the handicap they made up just on their 3rd ball in 5 frames.
Stephen
And that-
Hooper with an 8 drop. Hoover.
That's
I
a
said Hoover.
big factor with the team averages being fairly close.
Right. Or in any situation.
Tony Iafola there just basically nothing. That was a pitch out. I mean, nothing else you can say. Clipped off the 10 pin. And Stephen Hoover, again, Joe, you talked about that earlier today. He's got the 4-7. He hits the 4 solid, and And on the other side, Iafola goes off the side for the 10 pin, comes back and throws a 9.
That's why you got to be
You know,
mentally tough to
He did not let it phase him.
to compete in this game. You really do have to be mentally tough. And as we spoke of before, you bowl the pins and not the luck factor. You know, if the guy that keeps banging on that object pin is more likely going to come out the winner.
Agreed.
Bob Niedzwiecki up on lane 11.
He's having a little trouble this game. He's getting on the side of the ball. If you see his hand,
Right.
he's
His
coming
hand is
around
not
it.
underneath and coming through the ball. It's
Yeah.
not staying behind the ball. It's
Coming
off to the side. And
Yep.
roundhousing it coming through.
From 6 to midnight,
Right.
and you need that 3/4 or even half turn where you're on the side of the ball.
You lose all control.
Will Cook off the side for one of those favorable 3-pin leaves. Nitzwicki is now trying to clean up, try to make a 9 or 10 on this frame. And there you go, Joe.
I think he might have shot the pocket.
So an 8-box for Nitzwicki, and Cook that time shot the object pin, and guess what?
Well, a good bowler, meaning from 35 up, when we miss the head pin, it's not that easy to hit with the second ball because we just missed it, and it's between your ears, so you tend to aim it.
And overcompensate for where you missed the first time.
You overcompensate or you aim it and pick it.
See George
Right.
Kahn there go off to the
You're
left.
forcing it on the object pin.
As we near the end of this, and we have 4 frames and a couple frames left, or 4, 5, I'll get this right.
I don't know what they are either.
We have 4 frames left in the game and a frame left in the 6th frame, but you can tell that the tenseness, the ball is being aimed a little bit.
Right.
And I don't mean that as being critical.
Right. Well, between
the shots are quieter. Even the it's just a quieter atmosphere right now all around, and that's tough to overcome sometimes. You got to build the hoot and holler we had in the individual finals. That thing was cranking for the whole time from start to finish, and this is just really tense right now. I think the 5-person team does contribute to that as well.
Well, and you need that rah-rah. You need the cheerleaders it keeps you in the moment.
Yep.
Instead of long. There you go. He's stepped up.
Well, we were
Exactly.
talking about him, and he's done his job now, so he's put them in position to be in competition in this match.
I've watched Rob pretty closely during these matches, and he's kind of a streak bowler in that he'll throw a frame where not one of the balls go where he wants them to go. He did that the first 2 frames of the game,
Indeed.
and now all of a sudden he's in the groove.
Well, I think in his semifinal game, I don't think he hit 100, and it was just a struggle from start to finish. But you know what? When your team's winning by 40 or 50, you can at least thank them and say, you know what, I got you. I got you next time.
I got your back. Here I come.
Yeah, just when it looked like the team ball might start pulling away after making up all the handicap, Team Ayatollah outmarked them 2-0 in the 6th frame. And as soon as I get those words out of my mouth, Pat
rocks
Sortino on team ball answers with a strike.
Oh dear. See an unfortunate break for Regina on the object pin, but just a little too fine. See Stephen Hoover here. He's looking to start something up himself. And that one's off the side. Regina's job here is to make 8 or 9 in any way she can.
Yeah, right now it's to hit the front pin.
Absolutely. The second ball did its job. Now she has to do the same thing with the third ball.
Yeah, and there you have Steve that left the head pin after 2 balls, and he's a better bowler than that.
That's a great job by Regina there. Rips out the 1-5 and then makes 10. That's huge. Up against the 7 box. Huge frame.
I'll let a good bowler shoot that 10 times, and they won't make 10 more than 3 times.
Especially when you have those 2 sleepers in the back. When you punch the 1-5 clean, very difficult to get 10 out of that.
But I got to tell you, Joe, if she was listening or you were giving her mental telepathy, she did exactly what she hit the front pin both times.
Yeah, she didn't go deep. You're right. Yeah, I actually tell people if you can bowl this game, that every ball you're only rolling at one pin. Forget the rest of them. It becomes a little easier. Of course, that's a lot easier said than done.
Yeah, but it's great advice for any young bowlers who are starting out. You don't become real good. You don't start by throwing doubles and triples. You start by hitting object pins and making 10 boxes, and then it gets progressively. And then you start to fine tune it. Now I want to make spares. Now I'm going to throw that. Strikes are not what this game is all about.
No, definitely not.
You
It's
know?
about hitting objects, and it's this game is so much like golf, and I do them both. Is that you learn how to hit the ball, and then you mentally learn how to play the game.
Well, how many times you're on a golf course when you're in a position where you cannot make the shot, and you should just chip it out and take your point. But what do? Most often, people try to make that miraculous shot, and what do they end up? They end up further deeper in the woods.
I have a good
Happens all the
golfing
time.
friend, not to get off of bowling, that I said to him, he's in the trees and he's looking and looking, and I said, "What are you looking at?" He said, "I have a hole." I said, "You had a 60-yard fairway too, and you didn't hit it. Now you're going to hit it through a 25-inch television screen."
That's how we think out there, though, isn't it?
Well, that's what they do on TV.
Sure.
They can put it through there, so maybe I can.
Well, they practice doing that.
I practice a lot more than they do at that. I can tell you that.
We do it out of necessity. That's
Right.
not practice.
Exactly.
Ooh.
Here we go.
Nidzwicki and Francis over there with almost a backdoor strike. Well,
There's what happens.
that's all right. He hit the object.
talking about
pin.
forcing
hit
it?
the object.
Yeah, forcing it on the object pin, and it's frustrating.
Okay, 9 box there for Nidzwicki and a. Is it 4? Let's see. Oh.
That's a spare no matter how hard you hit it.
You just all they have to do is fall down.
Exactly.
George Kahn here on lane 12. Even hits. Off the side.
Where do we stand?
So right now this is essentially an even match. Ayafolla's team right now is up a pin, and plus whatever George can make on his last ball. So essentially it's an even game. We got a couple of marks on each side, 4-pin differential.
Wow. This is where we're going to see
Big shot here for Eric.
who handles it the best.
The ball just barely skims by the outside of the 10-pin. So here's another chance for Bob Stevens to do his job. He's the
Step
anchorman.
up,
This is
yeah.
his time.
The ball team has 2 marks in the 7th frame, and so far, none on this one. Oh, my. Still counting.
Critical ball here for Stevens.
Very much so.
He was fortunate to get 3 on that ball. That was
It was
right.
hole.
It was in the hole halfway through.
That looked destined for the
And lipped
hole.
out.
Yeah, not too often you catch the edge of the 5-pin on
Right.
that.
So manages to make 9 out of it.
There's a case where I'm sure that the teams know where they stand as far as the score, and there's a case, and here comes a case with 3 frames left where pressure is definitely going to show up.
So we had a 9-pin differential, but the team that is trailing does have 2 fills. So
And just like we saw in the semifinal
single
match,
digits.
the higher average team made up all the handicap early and then couldn't get over the hump and let the underdog, so to speak, hang in there.
Well, we saw the same exact. We saw it happen in a match as well, but
Pat
the other
just-
team didn't come back with a double, did they?
They did. Well, he did here. Pat came back with a double. That's his 2nd double of the game.
That's his 3rd double in his last 10 frames. because he had a double in the 8th and 9th of the semifinal match.
Did he have a spare in that game?
I don't. He might have earlier, but since then, all he's thrown are strikes or opens.
Well, however many doubles he's thrown, that one could not have come at a better time for his team. That's for sure.
Well, you know, and Pat, even in his 4 open frames, has only left a pin on the lane.
Right, and filled his first double with 9, even though he missed the single.
Exactly.
Stephen Hoover just off the side of the head pin, but kicks out 8. Stephen Hoover clipped the front pin, and what happened?
Well, and I have to give Pat a little credit for him making that 2-pinner, because that double took a lot of pressure off the rest of the team.
Sure did.
The double is mentally, the strike is just such a powerful weapon, whether you're 100 average or 150 average.
The great equalizer.
Can't miss it.
We've seen it all day. We've seen it throughout the tournament. We've seen it in the individual finals. The doubles and triples they're not part of they're not what this game's all about, but they sure do make a difference in a one-on-one match, head-to-head event.
Well, you saw a case there where Steve almost missed his 2-pinner after the double that Pat had.
Mm-hmm.
Will just threw not a good ball at all out to the right, but because you're relaxed, look at the pin action.
I know. And Joe, you just used the words I love as a bowler. I never mind hearing someone says to me, "You almost missed it," but I hate it when they say, "Man, you almost made that one."
Yes.
It just doesn't work that way for me.
Positive. Yes. The key being almost in both
cases, but almost missing it is not a bad thing. Here's Nidwicki.
And a tough game.
And you know, we've seen this before. The double takes it takes your breath away for just a box or so.
Well, you know they went in the lead. Now you're in a catch-up mode.
Yep.
And when you're the underdog, even though you're getting the pins, it's tough.
Well, at this point in the game, the pins are gone, so you're bowling scratch, and
exactly.
You know.
And as you said, the chatter has gotten much less.
Very quiet. Yep. And you'll hear the buzz come again when Patrick steps up on the lane, because he's on a double.
If you listen closely, you'll hear a lot of more oohs and ahs than you do yes, yay.
Yeah, right. Ooh. All right, here's Jeff Francis now. He's got to clean up on aisle 12. It was right about this point in the semifinals where George Kahn made his presence known against the Anastasi team. So we'll see if he can do anything here in the 8th frame.
He pulled it.
And that's not gonna get it done there. But he's got another ball for spare attempt.
As far as feeling good about this, I gotta believe that the keep forgetting the name of the team, the ball team. I know for a fact that Will Cook left the bowling lanes Thursday and went up to the racetrack and the casino and won about $2,300 on a penny slot machine. So he's got to feel pretty good.
And Joe's just stepped away for a moment as Eric Ball sent a pin up and stuck up between the
cushion, the back
cushion and the mat on lane 12. Eric ends up with a 9 box.
We have Rob
5-10.
Stevens now with 3 boxes left in his tournament, trying to carry the team here.
As we get later and later into the match, the single pin and these spare leaves become more and more and more important and stressful.
Ball and the pin get smaller. Well done.
Once again, this game is not by any stretch out of reach. I mean, there's a double up there, but the Ayatollah team, if last round is any indication, they are not going to go away easily in the 9th and 10th.
Well, we need to go to the strikes.
Well, when they needed them last game, they were there, putting up 90 pins as a team in the 10th frame.
20 pins, and the counts are essentially 3 counts to 2 because of the double. This is a big, big ball.
Sortino on 11.
Count again.
I say again, it wasn't in the pocket, but the result was favorable, as an 8 drop is huge at this point, counting twice.
And the key was he did hit his object pin.
He
did hit the head pin.
Absolutely. Regina once again in a position she needs to just try to get a 9 or 10 out of this and set it up for that 10th frame.
Pat needs to make a spare to validate this game.
Well, there you go.
Piece of cake.
You just got to tell him what to do, Joe. I don't think we could just pack up and go home. You could just tell us what happened before it even happens.
Well, I think he knew it before I did.
Yeah.
So with that spare conversion, that opens up a 29-pin lead, even with the hits.
And there's one of the fills. It's a 6 fill. So Ayatollah here, not quite must-strike territory, but it sure would help.
I thought they need Tony to do something exciting.
You mean like 10 in the pick going backwards? Is that exciting?
I got an edge. I've seen this before.
This
is a rerun.
You say it and it happens. That's all I'm saying.
These bowlers have earbuds, and you're talking into their ear, tell me you got to throw a strike here. Hey, you got to make this spare to validate yourself.
I think I have haven't done this for so long that I have an ability to be them.
So Ayatollah did his job and set his team up for, again, if he throws a double here in the 9th and 10th, we've got a brand new ball game.
Well, and add a little spark.
It was a little, yep. Here's Niedzwiecki on 12.
He's just getting on the side of that ball, and it's a habit that we all have, a bad one, and it's just hard to get out of.
Yeah, your arm is out of its normal angle, the arm swing, and your hand is coming off. The ball's not coming off the fingertips. You lose so much control.
Well, and you get nothing into the ball because you're on the side of it.
So if you do still happen to hit the pocket, it's not going to react the same as when you're driving through the ball.
You feel it, you know it, and
but you can't do anything about it.
Hard to fix.
Very hard.
And it's hard to tell at this stage whether it's somewhat physical fatigue, mental fatigue. I mean, I don't know how many games these guys bowled. Generally, in a week, he's bowled probably 15 games in 2 days, 3 days.
And they probably bowl at this time of year 3 at the most.
Correct. So a little bit of both, probably physical and mental.
I can tell you from experience the mental fatigue causes physical fatigue.
It starts early and happens often, right?
Yes.
You can look past the physical fatigue if you're bowling well and in a good frame of mind, but if you're not, it just magnifies it.
Well, and then you start focusing on the
right. Oh, my back. Oh, my knee. Oh, my hand. Oh, my head.
Or as my good friend used to say, oh, my Lanta.
This is where, and you can look at the scores and tell the bowlers that have been searching for their game. You just have a problem getting out of your own way and getting out of the mental aspect of the game.
There's a messenger from Jeff Francis. So that's going to set the tone for the last 6 boxes right now. We've got 2 strikes up. Stevens has a chance to mark, load, and then go. I mean, this is going to be, right now, Stevens' next ball It's going to determine a lot as far as the outcome of this match.
This particular match has definitely come down to spares. I mean, the double did set it up, but it's definitely come down to spares.
Right. And Deadwood.
Spares and wood,
Yeah.
exactly. Spares in the third ball.
Right now we're at 16 pins. Ball's team in the lead, even marks.
Counts are even, yep.
And it could change with balls. It does not. So it is a 16 pin advantage. Drop pins right now, 40 to 20. There's your
Half the
differential.
handicap, almost half the
it's
handicap given
the
away.
difference between being down 16 and up 4.
And that's what produces the average difference. It's really now has come down to Tony's first ball. I mean, not only Tony's first ball.
But it's a
Right.
huge ball to throw.
That's a chance to jump right back in the game.
And Regina did give her team a lift in the semifinals in the 10th frame, sparking multiple doubles.
Yes.
All right, so she goes by that one. Right now we're looking at a 25 pin differential. And Ayatollah's team having one extra hit. So that'll make it 26. I'm sorry, 23. 23 less a hit.
I might say that Pat not only had a great game at 161, but he left one pin on the lane. That's
Yeah,
big.
he didn't contribute much to the 20. Here's Stephen Hoover. See what he can do in this 10th frame. He rips offside for 6. Makeable spare, but got to hit the right pin, right, Joe?
Hit the front pin. Don't make it any harder than it is.
Here we go at Tony's strike.
Ayatollah.
This
Gonna be
is big.
How big is it, Joe? Like, is it really big or sort of
Well,
big?
we're going to go to the next ball now. It looked easy.
Is this next ball
This
big?
guy loves pressure. Oh, yeah.
I thought these were little balls. You keep
would
calling
say
them
it was
big.
He needs to walk over to lane 13, 14, get a ball.
Well, I'll tell you what. This team has done it now two games in a row where they have just come out in the 10th frame and they don't back down.
No.
Tony Ayatollah, 118 average, and he's going to shoot about 450 for these last 3 games.
He has a chance to put his team into the lead right now. It's 12 less 2 balls. Could be more.
Wow. Hear anybody breathing? Okay.
So
Okay.
we're even.
If you go by averages, Ayatollah team is actually on top. Meaning counts.
Right.
And we are even. It is absolutely dead even. We're on even marks and absolutely no differential. Ayatollah is going to be a little upset with the final ball, but can't complain about the other results today. He had a great run.
He did, but he will leave here knowing, depending on the outcome of this, that ball needed to be left.
It's Francis with a 9 drop and Nidzwicki. I'm sorry, it's Will Cook. My bad.
There's that break again.
We've been seeing that a lot.
And you do see that. I think whenever I throw a flat ball and I hit light, that's when you see that leave. Talking about not throwing the ball off your fingers.
All about pins
Especially-
here, gentlemen. All about
especially
pins.
With no pin action. You
Right.
don't have to hit the dead wood.
Right.
You would. What would you have done if that went again?
I don't know. I think I'd have went down and taken some measurements when they're done to find out how come that shot's made so often in here.
So here's
Cool.
Niedzwiecki with a chance to give his team the lead in an unconventional way. And he doesn't. So we remain
It's a tough game.
There's a big
We
missed
remain
opportunity
even.
by Will Cook as well, missing that single pin.
So now Jeff Francis, this is clearly the moment. His team needs him right now to step up.
Good ball, a little snug.
It wasn't a terrible ball and it wasn't a great result, but he'll take the load. It forces, at this point, Stevens to throw a good first ball just to keep his team alive.
Jeff did exactly what he wanted to do. He hit the front one.
Yes, he did. And he's got to hit the front one again. Now George Kahn in the semifinals threw a double at this moment.
Wow.
So maybe, perhaps he might, I don't know, throw another one?
Not his first rodeo.
He only
Let's
bowls
see
when
what
he's-
happens.
He only bowls when he has to, it seems. He just thinks, I'll bowl now.
I think
Now's
I'd
a
have
good
to
time.
say to him, if you did this earlier, it would be a lot easier on our nerves. My heart rate.
So it's a carbon copy of this Ayatollah's team in the semifinal round. They withstood, they got down, they hung around, and then the 10th frame came along and look out.
Yeah, I think they lull the other team to sleep.
It was with strikes.
Another 20 box in the 10th for George Kahn, who gives his team right now, he's down three. I'm sorry, he gives his team a 3-pin lead and his anchorman working on a load. Critical ball for Eric. And catches the 7-pin in the corner. Wow. Bob has the opportunity here to wait, I believe, and I think he's going to.
It's a courtesy.
Well, I think in the 10th frame of ball for ball, I believe you're allowed to, I think it's a discretion.
It's the
He's
right
gonna
thing
go.
to
He's
do
gonna
in a
go.
tight match like
He's
this.
gonna go.
Well, I would.
I would
if it
wait.
were
I
me,
would
I
wait.
would bowl.
You would.
Yeah, put the pressure back on him.
There you go. So, man, he has to
If you don't get up and bowl, you give him the chance to throw a double in reverse.
put you
off
on a
the
mark.
pressure.
Yeah, put you on a mark. Holy mackerel.
That's Duckpins.
He has to make this spare. Joe, did he hit the object pin? Or did,
My Lord. It hit the pocket, too, but, you'll have to ask him what he was shooting
We don't
at.
know what he aimed at, but it looks good now.
Wow.
So with that,
See what I mean about the pressure?
all he has to do, Rob Stevens right now, his job is to throw the ball at those white things and hit one of them.
That's what he needs?
He needs a pin. So he's got to stay on this side of the foul line, keep the ball. How wide is that lane? He's got a big target.
41 inches.
There you go. That's his target.
Keep it in the building, right, as we say.
And with that pitch, we have our winners, the team from Tony Ayatollah, Regina Grieco, Bob Niedzwiecki, George Kahn IV, and Rob Stevens. We are going to have our Jim Kaufman take and interview our team champions. and we're going to have David Richardson, who's going to present the team championship awards in just a moment. Joe, holy mackerel.
Pat, all I can say is I'm glad I was here.
I'm glad you were here too.
Wow.
We had an outstanding opportunity to present this game of duckpin bowling, and the bowlers, the staff, everyone here made it such an exciting event, and all of the outcomes were so like down to the wire. It was awesome.
I'm almost speechless, and that doesn't happen too
Wow.
often.
So they're just Jim is waiting for the championship team to congratulate each other, give themselves Rob's sighing a big sigh of relief. He made a huge spare there in the 10th frame. Truly an anchorman shot on that ball.
You know, if you weren't here, no way anyone could explain what we just saw over these last 3 games.
Nope.
It would take forever, and you
Well,
wouldn't
because,
believe it.
You know, for the majority of that championship match, I don't want to say it was boring, but it was an uneasy calmness. There was no. Everybody was treading on thin ice, and then all of a sudden the excitement just built at the very end, and it was an outstanding finish.
Well, you know, as you get tighter, you don't want to say the wrong thing, so you just you let everybody
Absolutely. So right now we're gonna turn this over to Jim Kaufman, who is going to have a conversation with Team Ayatollah. Jim Kaufman, over to you. Jim is waiting as Team Ayatollah is still congratulating everyone. So they are excited. It's okay. They're moving their way over. Take it away, Jim.
Thank you, guys. Here with the winning team, Team Ayatollah. And once again, to present the champions with their rewards, we have David Richardson.
Guys, you put on one heck of a show. I'll tell you what, that was a lot of fun. You guys are now champions, huh? You're going to come back for the next year. So on behalf of the MTHA, the Maryland Jockey Club, enjoy the Preakness. You guys got VIP tickets. Good job. $1,000 each, too.
Thank you.
So, all righty. There you go. Congratulations.
All right, I got a few quick questions. First, Rob, you mentioned that all your matches coming up through the brackets were right down to the wire. What was the difference?
I think it was just all of us just hanging together and just believing that we could make it happen. I mean, George, he threw a couple doubles when we really needed them. Tony threw it. Bob, Gene. It was just a good time. We had a great weekend.
Without Rob, we don't even get past the roll-off. He was the only one to bowl in the roll-off. So.
And you guys came through the roll-off. You had an extra game to bowl. Do you think that helped, having that extra game under your belt?
It always does.
And I got to know over here, what's going on with the shirt? I have no idea what this represents with the fish in the mason jar.
Joe, from What About Bob?
Oh, Bob Dabalina. Yeah. Isn't that guy's name? Wasn't his name Bob Dabalina? I don't know. It was a rap song from the movie, so I'm just going off of that. So now that's from What About Bob. So, okay. Well, congratulations, everyone. Great bowling this weekend. And enjoy the Preakness next weekend. It's going to be a good time. That was we appreciate it.
Thank you, Jim. We hope you have enjoyed Duckpin TV's presentation of the team finals and individual finals of the Preakness Duckpin Classic. I'd like to thank Jim Kaufman, Joe Rainier, executive producer Brian Ewing. I'm Pat Rufo. We'd also really like to thank David Richardson for all his work in organizing this event, making it possible for us to promote the sport of duckpin bowling. We once again thank our sponsors for their generous support and hope you will join us for our next broadcast from Town Hall Lanes in Johnson, Rhode Island for the 2nd annual Duckpin TV Championships.